Morning, all. All right, so today we're going to talk about the Calgary Flames. Calgary Flames, a team that is one of those feast or famine teams in the regular season. They've had some excellent regular seasons. They've had some mediocre regular seasons as well. The last 5 years really kind of tell the story. 2017, 2018, they finished 37, 35, and 10. They were 26th in goals for during that season. They were 19th in goals against. 2018 2019, huge breakthrough season for Calgary. 50, 25, and 7. They finished first in the West. They were second in goals for in the NHL. They were ninth in goals against. And then they lost in the first round. 2019 2020, they finished 36, 27, and 7. They were 20th in goals for. They were 15th in goals against. Got knocked out that year by Dallas in the playoffs. 2020, 2021, they missed the playoffs altogether. 26, 27, and 3. They were 20th in goals for, 16th in goals against, and that was in the Canadian division where it really felt like Calgary should have thrived, and they didn't. 2021, 2022, the season we just finished not that long ago, they finished 50, 21, and 11, so 4 points better than the 2018-2019 team. They do get out of the first round before losing against the Edmonton Oilers. They finished sixth in goals for last season and then third in goals against. So the overall numbers have been excellent for them. 2 out of the last 5 seasons. Good, 1 of the other 5 seasons, and mediocre the other 2. So it really is hard to predict. Now the channel's trying. There is obviously going to be, and I've talked about this, there's always a recency bias when we try to pick who is or isn't going to miss the playoffs. So the worst month that Calgary had last season was January, where they were 5-6. But then in February they turned it around and they went 10-1. And that was the thing; they could be red hot for 1 week and the next week kind of quiet. Their exits, not quiet here. This is where, of course, the big difference is. Johnny Goudreau gone to Columbus. Matthew Tkachuk gone to Florida. Calle Jarnkrok, Eric Goudbranson also amongst those who have left. So in losing Goudbranson off the blue line, honestly, I thought he had a really good season, but they did a good job replacing him with Mackenzie Weegar. And really, depth on the blue line is one of the strengths of the Calgary Flames. They also, of course, added Jonathan Huberdeau on the Matthew Tkachuk deal, Kevin Rooney, but it still leaves them short a top 6 forward. So somebody's going to have to jump up. Does Jacob Pelche or Connor Zary end up being the guy who jumps into a pretty sweet spot in order to get some points and goals? And does that take the sting out of losing Tkachuk and Goudreau? You know, you'd have Huberdeau obviously there, and he signed the 8-year extension. And then either Pelche or Zary, again, if either of them are ready, great. Their tandem in net, it's going to be Jacob Markstrom and Dan Viladara again. I would think Viladara gets more starts this season than he did last season. Maybe give Markstrom a bit more rest. He seemed to be better in the first half of the season than the second half, so we'll see what Calgary does with that. Not only that, but I thought Vladar showed he's ready to handle more of the load. Down the middle, Elias Lindholm, Michael Backlund, Sean Monahan, Kevin Rooney, and again, these are projections from Cap Friendly. The interesting name on the list is Sean Monahan. So I was saying they need a top 6 forward. If Monahan could have a bounce back season, stop chuckling, I'm just saying if he could, then you absolutely could be looking at a situation where Monahan benefits, the Flames benefit, and then we see what happens come trade deadline time, right? If Monahan becomes a really good player, do you make another move at the deadline? Do you move Monahan? Because again, it feels like they've been trying to move Monahan, but his contract's probably slowing that process down. Now, as I said, the channel vote is pretty optimistic across both channels. The Hockey Guy channel, 31% saying Calgary will finish first or second, 36% on the Entertainment Guy. On the third or fourth category, 56% of the Hockey Guy channel says, yep, that's where they're going to finish. On the Entertainment Guy channel, 51%. So that's 87% on both channels. Fifth or sixth, 9% on the main channel, 8% on the second. And 7th or 8th, it's 3% of the vote that doesn't like Calgary on the hockey side and 4% that doesn't like Calgary on the Entertainment Guy side. 16,000 votes on the Hockey Guy side, 474 on the Entertainment Guy side. So, again, kind of fun to look at that and just, yeah, it's pretty standard across both. And so 87% of the channel believes that these guys are going to be top 4. I do think that it hurts them without Tkachuk. I do. I think adding Huberdeau in exchange for Tkachuk replaces Goudreau Huberdeau's a bit of a different player than Johnny Goudreau. They are definitely not exactly the same. You can look at their stats and say, well, that's kind of 1-for-1 and it makes them. But I think Huberdeau might be a little bit better as a player right now than Johnny, but we'll see. But yeah, so losing that one top six forward, it's going to be interesting to see who jumps up into that spot. Breakthrough candidates. I'm going to go over to breakthrough here first. I've got Dan Viladara on the board, even though he's a goaltender, because I really think that he is due for a big season. And it's one of the reasons why when Boston traded him, Tuukka Rask phoned Calgary and said, you got a good one. And I've got Pelche and Zari up there just with a slash, because I don't think it'll be both. It might be one or the other. And that's something Calgary needs. They need the new blood. For instance, Matthew Coronato and the play that he showed for the U.S. last night, I don't think he's signed to a contract yet by Calgary, and that's the kind of forward they need. Coronato is a natural sniper, goal scorer. So we'll see when he comes up and what the Flames look like at that point. Their coach is Daryl Sutter. Their GM, Brad Treliving. And while there's slings and arrows thrown the way of Brad Treliving, he's still there as general manager, and I think he's done a good job considering the situation he was put in. It's not easy when you have Johnny Goudreau hemming and hawing, and then at the last moment, I'm going to go to the market. We can all look back now at 2020 hindsight and say, oh, well, we all knew he was going to go to market. I didn't. But anyways, Matthew Tkachuk then saying he doesn't want to sign a long-term deal. They did the best thing they could. They got him signed to a long-term deal that had been agreed to by the Florida Panthers, and then they traded him. So the Stanley Cup odds for Calgary currently at plus 2,000. They get off to a good start. That's going to drop quickly. Their cap space, they do have some, $2,761,667, according to Cap Friendly. What's interesting, too, is when you look at their top four on the blue line, you have Noah Hannafin, who has been quietly an excellent defenseman for Calgary. Rasmus Anderson, also, I think, quietly doing a good job. Mackenzie Weegar, you have to think, is going to get into a top four role. And Nikita Zadorov, while Chris Tanev is out with a shoulder injury. So once Tanev comes back, and then you have Shillington, you also have the possibility of Valimaki coming back up and having a bounce-back season. This is a really good blue line that the Calgary Flames have put together. I'll be interested to see how well it performs and if they end up top three in goals against again this season. It really is a matter of not overcorrecting and not panicking either. So not overcorrecting based on the loss to the Oilers and not panicking because Goudreau and Tkachuk have exited the team. Now we get into the leaders from last season. Tkachuk and Goudreau show up here. On the goal side, Tkachuk with 42, Elias Lindholm with 42, Goudreau with 40. Now, Jonathan Huberdeau has already basically said one of his goals is to get Lindholm to 50 goals. If he does that, then I don't think many people are going to question the contract at its beginning. The contract will age badly. Johnny Goudreau, most contracts signed later on, once a guy's 30 years of age, they will age badly. I think teams know that, but because they have that contending window, they're like, we'll deal with that later. Right now, we want to win. Johnny Goudreau had 40 goals for them last season. He also led them in assists with 75. And Matthew Tkachuk had 62. Look for Huberdeau. I would think, playing on a line with Lindholm, I would think at least 60, 65 assists for Huberdeau. Probably 25 to 30 goals. I would be very surprised if Huberdeau doesn't threaten or eclipse 100 points again, as he did last season. It might be a bit more of a tough adjustment, though, with Calgary. That's why I'm kind of lowballing that, because it can take a while to get used to a new team. Special teams were very good for Calgary. Their power play, 22.9%. Their penalty kill, 83.2%. So add that up. That's 106.1. So those are good numbers. Now, their expiring contracts, not a lot to see here. Milan Lucic, that contract coming off the books will likely make Calgary quite happy. I would not be surprised if Milan Lucic signed a deal to stay in Calgary beyond this year for a much lower cap hit. Trevor Lewis, who re-signed for the one-year deal in this past offseason, and of course Mackenzie Weegar. Now that Huberdeau's been signed to a long-term extension, the plan is to get Weegar signed as well and really have that solid defense and pretty good offense. Again, I understand the concerns about the players that have been lost, but I think Calgary is still going to score enough. They were 6th in goals for. I would think they should be able to stay in the top 10. It really is a matter of who jumps up and takes that spot and gets that production going. One other name that's not on the board is Mangiapane. They're going to need him to maintain a similar goal-scoring pace to what he had last year. But we'll see what happens. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below regarding the Calgary Flames. Are they going to maintain what they started last season, or are we looking at a team that will have those great seasons and then an iffy season, and they're just going to be really unpredictable? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.